welcome to Arkive Vintage Headquarters. Arkive's a new range is our upcycled range, which incorporates and upcycles garments that would have otherwise been thrown away or are unable to be sold in their current state. So anything that's got holes or damage or is just simply not current in its trend. So we will either rework the product into a new piece, or we will repurpose it and make it into things like these patchwork bags, or we'll crop t-shirts and bring them up to date. By repurposing our garments, we're supporting the circular economy, and by buying vintage, you're supporting the circular economy, and we are minimising the waste that goes into landfill, and that way you are looking after our big beautiful planet. Arkive stocks a fairly eclectic range of pieces. We stock anything from the 1940s up to Y2K, which is officially vintage now because it's older than 20 years. So in store you're quite sure to see quite a range of different eras. I started in fashion in my early 20s. I used to hustle at the markets, flipping vintage clothing myself. And that's where I established my passion for things with a history, and that was to get me through uni. And then I ended up moving into fashion retail and working for a national chain. I moved to the UK in the early 2000s, and that's when I worked for Rocket, which is one of the largest vintage clothing companies in the UK. And I was fortunate enough to meet some very talented and creative people there, and learnt the trade there and established my connections. Arkive in its first incarnation started in London and in the mid-2000s. I'm originally from Australia, grew up in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, so it was only natural to come back to my homeland. And in its current incarnation as a retail operation, Arkive started in 2012 with its first shop in Surfers Paradise, and grew then to open Westfield Garden City and Westfield Chermside, and a store in the CBD. Arkive sources its stock from all around the world. We get a lot of product from North America and Northern Europe as well. The reason why we don't get so much from Australia is because Australia's a pretty young nation in comparison to the rest of the world, so it doesn't have the history of the industry that those other countries do. So that's why you will see many different labels and international sizing on your garments.